Hey, Shawn Clement here. Wisdom in golf in our backyard setting. It's just you and me, and this is an important task here that we have to spread the word. I know many of you who have been in Wisdom in Golf don't give this kind of advice out, but for those of you who don't know who we are, one of the worst things that you could possibly say to your playing partner, unless you want to get in their pocket, is keep your head down. Okay, or you lifted your head. It has nothing to do, the golf shot success has nothing to do with your head. As a matter of fact, if you look at Mr. George Knudson, one of our famous Canadian players who won 8 events on the PGA Tour, Jack Nicklaus said he's got a $1 million swing with a 10-cent putting stroke. He struggled a little bit with the putter, but if you win 8 events without a good putting stroke, you're doing mighty fine, aren't you? So George says, you might as well cut the head off. We don't need it. Not a very politically correct thing to say these days, but he says the head thinks too much, number one. He's right on that one. And number two, it has nothing to do with contact with the golf ball. Why? Because the arm, right, the arm swing occurs from the shoulder socket. So if I allow the arm to swing freely from the shoulder socket, and I'm low enough, then I can cut grass. Now, in order for me to cut grass, and I'll come back to that in a second, that is the most important thing that you want to tell somebody if they're topping shots, they're having trouble with their contact. The best thing for you to say is, let the sole of the club cut through the grass, shave the grass, plane the ground like wood planers. You know, you notice with the wood planers, as it shaves along, it takes a nice thin strip of wood off the top. That's perfect. Paint scraping, imagine the sole of the club as a paint scraper, and you're taking a strip of paint off the ground and sending that little strip of paint toward the target. Right? That's a great image to put, isn't it? So let's get back to that in a second. In order for me to cut grass, by the way, this is a grass cutting device, first and foremost. Steve Stricker, who changed with Titleist again last year for the second time in, 20 years? He hates change. But he was asked to try out the new clubs, and he tried out the new clubs. He says, boy, these cut grass way better. I'm in for the switch, no problem. And they were very delighted about that because he was playing with a very outdated set of clubs. So this sole of club is designed to cut grass first and foremost. So how do you get the sole of the club to the ground? Well, you bend from the hips. The hips are right there. These are the hip sockets, and they're just under the tailbone. And that is right below the pelvis, not on top of the pelvis. That's not your hips. The hip sockets are down here. So I'm bending from the hips forward so that my arms and club can be reunited in front of my body, and my arms and club can swing nicely below the shoulders to cut the grass. So if I'm too tall, it doesn't matter how much I keep my head down, I'm still not going to cut grass, I'm still going to top the ball. Many of you have already experienced that. So if I swing my hips back, don't try to stick the butt out and arch your back, because then you're going to put too much tension in your lower back. You just want to swing the hips back and let the upper chest come forward. Now notice the head's got nothing to do with that. However, even if you still have this beautiful posture and you can cut grass with the sole of the club, if you keep your head down and not move your head, you're going to do yourself a lot more harm than good. And you could actually injure yourself quite badly, because your head sits on a pivot that runs about 70 degrees. So notice how I can't bring the chin all the way to the shoulder. Very rare are those who can do that. So I bend forward, keep my head down, and don't move the head. Well, notice now I can't move. So my body can't get into my backswing, so there I can't finish my backswing. Joe Durant, who won today on the Seniors Tour, just beat Miguel Angel Jimenez with an eagle on the first playoff hole. He says he was striping the irons today. And he says the key to that was him finishing his backswing so he could get through the ball with ease. And you watch his action through the ball. It is a sling. He is really slinging that club through the dandelion stem. This is a dandelion in disguise. My eyes are on the turf between the leading edge of the club and the ball. Right there. I see the leading edge. My brain sees the leading edge ready to cut through the stem of the dandelion. That is the focus that I'm on. And I just need a direction to cut. So I'm going to cut in the direction of this T that I got here in front of me. I'm going to go right edge of that T. So I get forward enough to cut the grass, and I see and feel the grass under the sole of my club, and I'm going to make a nice whipping cut through the stem. So here we go. Now, notice the slinging action I had. You know why I had such a nice slinging action that was very low in effort? Because I was able to finish my backswing, a swing key Jack Nicklaus held very dear his whole career. And you watch Jack Nicklaus with his head, he would pre-turn his head and then allow the whole body to come to it. Now from there, he felt he had everything he needed to whip the snot out of the ball, or out of the club, sorry, effortlessly. So pre-turning the head's a great idea as long as you don't tilt it forward. So I see many of you on the range and in my lessons when you first come and see me, I see many of you tilting your head this way. I know what that body language is. I know where your mind is right now. You're trying to hit the ball. So this is somebody trying to hit the golf ball. There's your over-the-top swing. There's your overly active right side. Too much right hand, too much right shoulder. Well, that's only because you're making the ball your target. If you cut through the stem, along the grass, and out toward the target, well, now your head will be more in this position. It's going to tend to tilt this way. Watch Jordan Spieth. He's got the perfect address position with his head. Watch Rory McIlroy. As he gets to the top of the swing, you'll see his head slide this way so that he has access through the ball and toward the target. This is critical stuff. So if you're trying to keep your head down and don't move your head, you've canceled any opportunity to make a decent swing. So please, everyone, stop, okay? No more head down, no more head still. Relax. You bend from the hips. If you bend from the hips, the head can stay where it needs to be. I'm just going to start right here. Perfect. Bend forward. My head's still in the same anatomical position. I just have to pre-turn it a tad. See my head and lag video, okay? Head position and lag. We call it the 20-20 head position. So I turn my head, I tilt my head. Now I'm ready to go that way through the dandelion stem. I see a dandelion stem. I gather my backswing, and I cut through my dandelion stem. So notice that T in front keeps getting grazed by the sole of the club. Okay? So the sole of the club, when I'm focusing on cutting through the stem and along the ground, you'll notice that the sole of the club stays a very long period of time along the grass. Okay? So if I put a T right there, and I want to cut grass in front of me, watch how, see that? Stays super low. I caught it, the T was this far in front of where the low point of my swing was. So this is really going to help big time. All right? Now, next time you see somebody struggling with ball contact or with range of motion issues, meaning it looks like they're just shoving, right? No backswing, shove, hit. Looks like they're trying to hit the ball. Instead of, take this blade. Here's a great little tip. Take the sword. You're just going to hold the club at the bottom of the shaft. Feel the weight of the sword. Imagine an old bamboo shoot, nice little sapling in front of you. Slice through that bamboo shoot. Right away, you'll notice that your hand gets into this beautiful hinge position. There's that whip we were talking about. Do that with the lead hand. Gather. Notice I'm not collapsing the arm into my body. Notice how I'm turning my whole body to the target. So you'll see a lot of pros on tour start here, and their head actually turns into their backswing. So from there, cut through that shoot. Feel it with both hands. Gather, whip through. That felt whippy. So I'm looking for a whippy cut through the stem along the grass, toward the target. No more trying to keep the head down. No more trying to keep the head still. So you want the head to stay steady, yes. So once it's in that position there, you don't have to worry about it. Just stay on task. If I try to swing, no, Reese, quiet down. If I try to swing along the surface of the grass, notice my head has to stay back here. But if I see a squirrel, right, Reese? Squirrel? Where's the squirrel? Go get him. Go on, go get him. So his ears are perking up. So if your brain sees the ball, which is the squirrel that you've been trained to go after all this time, then it's really easy to lose that nice centered position of the head. So once the head's established, stay with the stem, cut through the stem toward the target, and you'll notice that your head will stay very steady all by itself without having to think about it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Enjoy, you guys and gals.